Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a podcast exclusively designed to create more reproductive health awareness and discuss your fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm beyond delighted to have someone that I've been hoping would come on to this show for quite some time, Kate Morton. Hi, Kate.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's such a dream to be here and be chatting with you.
And I love that you're going to come on to talk to us about something that I know very little about, which is seed cycling and how you can use seed cycling to balance your hormones. I honestly never thought when I was a medical student that I would ever be saying this in a sentence because we just aren't taught these things. I'm so glad you're coming on to talk to us all about it. And before I get started, I just want to share with our listeners and viewers a little bit more about you. Kate Morton is a registered dietitian and founder of Funk It Wellness. Funk It Wellness is an Austin, Texas-based cycle support company that creates products and education for all phases of the menstrual cycle. Kate left the States and moved to New Zealand, where she worked at Lululemon and then at Wellness Beverage before starting Funk It. During that time, she went off birth control and struggled to get her period back. And when it returned, she had cramps, moodiness, bloating, and hormonal acne. And I can't wait to have you talk to us about seed cycling and supporting your cycle. Thank you again for coming on today, Kate.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I love learning about how people have chosen to start companies, and your background is such a perfect fit for what you do. Tell us a bit more about your background as a dietitian and what got you interested in this field.
Yeah, so I'm a registered dietitian. I've got my undergraduate degree in nutrition and kinesiology, and I got my master's degree in human clinical nutrition. I was actually a pediatric pulmonary dietitian before really getting into the hormone world. I just completed my fellowship and then I moved to New Zealand where I actually couldn't be a dietitian. So it forced me to get outside of my comfort zone. And I worked at Lululemon, did a lot of products and marketing, and then I worked at other startups because I'm really passionate about truly better for you options. Because I think we've all been to the grocery store and we read a label and we've got no idea what the ingredients are. And there's so many chemicals in our food now. And so I helped companies reformulate their products over there simultaneously while getting off of birth control, which I thought was going to be like this breeze. I was so excited because I was one of those people that just had every side effect in the book. Like everything you could have happened to me. I bled for like 2 years. I had the Nexplanon. I had like spotting for like 2 years. I became super iron deficient and I got off of birth control, and all the issues that I didn't deal with before getting on, it came flooding back, and I was living in a foreign country. I didn't know anybody, and I really felt super alone. So I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in my health, go to the doctor, like get this figured out. And it really came back to a lot of self-education and learning and experimenting on myself. And then finally, I turned a corner and I was like, I have to share this with everyone. Everyone should feel amazing every month. The menstrual cycle is just incredible, and I could talk about it all day long, but it's so powerful and so incredible. And there's just so much we're not taught. So that's how I went from being a pediatric pulmonary dietitian to a hormone dietitian and cycle enthusiast.
So I have to ask you a question. Are you anti-birth control?
This is such a good question. I am not anti-birth control by any means because I do think it serves a really important purpose in our society. And I'm all about people having all of the education to make the best choice for themselves. Like that is truly what I want in this world. I want a world where we have birth control and we have education and we can say, okay, right now I'm at the phase in my life where getting pregnant is not an option for me and birth control is my best option. And I know the risks, the side effects. And I also know that maybe if I can take a multivitamin or I can incorporate these foods in my diet, it can help to support being on birth control. So very pro people making their own informed decisions.
I agree. I don't like birth control because I'm trying to get everyone pregnant, right? So it's a little opposite of what I'm trying to do. But birth control pills have so many non-contraceptive benefits. We use them as egg freezing planning pills, IVF planning pills, frozen embryo transfer planning pills. So they definitely serve a role and function. But I think a lot of people think that their side effects from the birth control pills are one of those things that there's just something wrong with them and it's not the pill. And I'm so glad you're talking about the things you experience because honestly, I've experienced a lot of the same things. And I consider for myself, pills as poison. I cannot take a birth control. I haven't found one that I like. And luckily, I don't have to deal with that anymore. But I'm glad that you're sharing your perspective and talking more about it. So now I want you to tell us, what is a cycle support company? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, we did so much work around this when we were getting ready because I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never thought I would be a founder. I never thought I would have my own company. I've worked at startups. I knew how much work it was. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I kind of like my wellness life, but I'm really passionate about this. And so when we sat down, I was like, I don't just want to be a seed cycling company or I want to really put education first. And I think like my background as a dietitian really just has given me this deep passion for educating and teaching on things that we may not already know about, like food and food as medicine and now cycle tracking. And so we wanted to have a product that was truly better for you and truly helped you. But we also wanted to have the education to be free and accessible for anybody, maybe who you don't want to buy our product or it's not in your budget right now, but you can come to our website and still leave with something of value. And so that's why I really focus on cycle support company and menstrual health company, because even if you don't want to do our product, we want you to know about your cycle for free.
Mm-hmm. And so what was your first product?
Yeah. So our first product was our seed cycling kits. And that's really was my introduction into the hormone world. I was told by a holistic doctor about it. And then I was also told by a friend. And being a dietitian, I'm very skeptical because I had my own private practice for a while. People would walk in with buckets of supplements and I would literally be like, you have very expensive pee right now. You are not absorbing. These are not in the correct form. This is just BS, to be completely honest. And so I'm really big on food as medicine, but I'm also really skeptical of everything. And so I did a ton of research and then I was like, you know what? My acne was so out of control. It was so painful. I could barely sleep at night on my cheeks and the side of my face. My period was so irregular. My cycle was around 56, 60 days. I wasn't ovulating consistently, which I didn't know that at the time. I know that now. But then when my period would come, it would literally knock me out and I couldn't even go to work. And I was like, this can't be right. And so I started digging in and digging deeper. And I actually found a lot of research that supported using seeds for hormonal benefits and menstrual cycle benefits. And then I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to try it. And after 3 months, everything was not perfect by any means. It's not a silver bullet, but my acne had started to heal. I was feeling better. My cycle had come from 56 days to 45 days down. Now I'm at a 29-day cycle after 5 years. Took a long time. But so that's when I launched our first product. I actually started making it in my kitchen, at the beginning of COVID. And I was like, okay, any of my friends, if you're having bad period problems, I will make you these kits and deliver them to your house. So that's what it started out as. And then there just was a really big need for it and it spiraled from there.
And then explain seed cycling for us. How does it actually work?
Yeah. So seed cycling is actually really simple. It almost sounds too good to be true because that's definitely what I thought. So step one, and this also goes back to why we are a cycle wellness company and education company. You have to track your menstrual cycle to seed cycle. It's like a non-negotiable. Step one, track your menstrual cycle. So from the first day of your period till when you ovulate, you're going to have ground organic pumpkin and flax seeds. Those are really rich in omega-3s, phytoestrogens, zinc, magnesium. It's great for supporting that first half of your cycle nutritionally. After you ovulate, so if you are temperature tracking, when your temperature spikes, you're going to start taking organic ground sesame and sunflower seeds. They have lots of vitamin B6, again with magnesium and zinc, but also vitamin E, which is really nourishing for the second half of your cycle when it comes to PMS symptoms, specifically breast tenderness, painful periods, and mood swings. So that's how it works. And you have 1 tablespoon of flax, 1 tablespoon of pumpkin in that first half, 1 tablespoon of sesame, 1 tablespoon of sunflower in the second half.
And that's daily.
And that is daily.
And then your kits, you provide all of that stuff. So I can go to Rocket Wellness and order my kit right now.
Yes, you can. And I took all the hard work out of it for you because I did it by myself. And I did it when I was trying to travel in a van and there were seeds everywhere. And my partner was like, the coffee grounder is full of seeds and I can't make my coffee and there's seeds in the carpet. And I was like, okay, there's got to be something easier. But if you know anything about seeds, they're really fragile and temperamental and they can become rancid very quickly. So the whole first year of me trying to experiment and start my company was really, okay, what is the optimal place to get the seeds from? So which country, what has the highest nutrient value? Then how can we grind them, seal them in a bag, and get them to the customer so quickly that they can eat them without them going rancid and being at risk for having high PUFAs, which we can talk about PUFAs because it is always like a question I get. What about the PUFAs? And I'm like, let's talk about it. So that's like a long way of saying, yes, you can go to our website and get super fresh, organic seeds delivered right to your door.
Oh my God. I have never heard of PUFAs ever. I'm curious. You have to tell me what PUFAs is.
Okay, so a PUFA is a polyunsaturated fatty acid.
Oh, PUFA.
Yeah, PUFA.
I thought you were saying poo fuzz. And I'm like, oh my God, that like flies on your poop. Okay, PUFA. Tell me.
PUFAs. And so a polyunsaturated fatty acid sounds complicated, but it's just a type of fatty acid in the seed. And essentially what it is, it's not bad. It's not inherently bad unless it becomes oxidized or rancid, and then it's linked to increased inflammation. So that's why when we talk about seed cycling, quality and freshness are going to be the top two things we want to focus on. If you read any of the reviews on our website, a lot of people will say, oh, I've tried to do this in the past and didn't see results until I started doing it with you guys. Oftentimes, that's because if you think about the way our food system is set up, the seeds that are in the grocery store could have been sitting there for up to 18 months or in these bags. Not saying they're inherently bad, but when you're using these for an intended nutritional purpose, they may not have that intended nutritional purpose.
Got it. Got it. And then you're speaking to someone who is heading into perimenopause and probably perimenopausal right now. Do you have products that are aimed toward someone who graduated high school in the 1990s, early 90s, and maybe the 80s?
Yes. And so perimenopause, I'm not in perimenopause yet. It's one of those things I'm really passionate about talking about because it's not talked about very often. And I remember talking to a bunch of my friends who were in their like late 30s, early 40s. My mom went through menopause really late. And so like she was just explaining to me what she had gone through in her 40s that she had no idea was coming. And essentially perimenopause, it's not menopause, it's getting ready for menopause, but it causes hormonal chaos. And that can be from mood to periods to irregular cycles. And so if your cycle and you're in perimenopause has become irregular, seed cycling can be a little tricky and quite honestly frustrating because you're trying to track your cycle, you're trying to sync it, and your hormones are just like, no, we're doing our own thing. So we created a new blend that's a daily blend, and it has more calcium and a little bit more phytoestrogens in there. And that can help more with the hot flash side of things and really preparing your gut. And we're focusing on gut health. And then also the increased calcium is great going in the 10 years leading up to menopause. So that product's called Revitalize. It has the same seeds in different concentrations.
Okay, so I need to get my hands on some Revitalize.
Yes, we'll get you some Revitalize so you can test it out and let us know what you think.
Also, obviously, approach things from a very holistic point of view. And I loved your recent blog post about hormone supporting habits. What are some of the things people can do to support their hormone?
Yeah, there's so many things. It's so exciting because there's so much we can do every day that's totally free to support our hormones. So whenever I am talking to someone, whether it's a friend or any of my old clients, I will say, okay, step one, before we even start talking about nutrition, we have to talk about stress and sleep because those are the two foundational elements of hormone health. And if you think about it, our bodies are so smart and they are designed to protect us. If we are chronically fatigued and stressed out, our bodies don't feel safe. They don't feel comfortable enough. So they're like, okay, we're going to put a pause on trying to reproduce because essentially that's what our bodies are trying to do every month. We're going to put a pause on that and we're going to focus on you. And then that cannot always have the best intended benefits. So 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, I know it's tricky, and good quality sleep. So that's something for me is I was getting like 9 hours of sleep a night, but it wasn't good quality sleep because I wasn't having enough protein later in the day. So my blood sugar was spiking. And then on top of that, I was moving around a lot and waking up. So 7 to 9 quality hours of sleep. I was also having too much screen time before bed, so I had to cut that out, unfortunately. And then when it comes to stressing about stress can also happen, which happens to me. I'm like, I need to not be stressed, and then I'm worried about it. So really finding habits in your day, whether it's like a walk in the morning or a 5-minute meditation or coloring in a coloring book, or for me, my gym has a sauna and I go sit in there for 15 minutes. Whatever it is to help you feel more grounded in your day, that's going to instantly support your hormones. So once we've tackled sleep and stress. Then the next thing I like to move to is like, okay, let's talk about lymphatic drainage. Are we moving our bodies? Are we getting our lymphatic system activated? And then we can move into nutrition. And then the cool thing is about nutrition is I come from the mindset of abundance when it comes to food, because I think that diet culture puts us in such a scarcity mindset that what can we add into our diet to support our hormones? And so you can also sync your nutrition with your cycle, but it's all about additions. In the first half of your cycle, you're more insulin sensitive, meaning, those good quality carbohydrates are going to be absorbed a lot faster and processed better. In the second half of your cycle, you're actually burning more calories, so you need more nutrition. And then you also need a little bit more protein because your body's less insulin sensitive. So more protein in the second half of your cycle. I could go on and on. And also then the last thing I talk to, which for some people it's the first thing, but I think this is potentially the most overwhelming thing, reducing our exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals is really important, but it's really hard. And I totally recognize that. I'm down a whole rabbit hole right now about underwear, which I'll report back later on what I learned. But just like water, plastics, really like what you're putting on and in your body, trying to reduce that chemical load, especially that have endocrine disrupting chemicals like plastics, BPA. Those are really important.
Wow. Thank you. I imagine that you're going to have another product coming out soon related to underwear. Funkit Wellness underwear line, maybe?
I wish. This has started out like I have no interest in getting in the garment industry because it's so overwhelming, but I went down this rabbit hole about underwear, and because you don't really think about it. Like I always just buy the cheap underwear, and then I figured out there's a bunch of chemicals in underwear and coffee beans. Two things that I have every day. So
exactly. You can go commando. Wear my Egg Whisperer pants commando.
Perfect.
They're crotchless. So share with us where someone can find your products, find you, learn more about what you're doing and what you're up to.
Yeah. So our website's funkitwellness.com. That's where you can find all of this free education I was talking about. So we've got ebooks, we've got blogs, and then you can always reach out to me directly through the website. My Instagram is carbs, like a carb you would eat, and Kate. And so that's where it's that's just a fun place for me to educate and talk to people. And then our TikTok and Instagram for Funkit is Funkit Wellness. We also post a lot more approachable content on there. It's more short form, like videos. And you can always DM us. I love to get to talk to anyone who's interested in this. So you'll probably get me on the other end of the DMs. I always am jumping in there and loving to talk to people. So if you have any questions, you can just let me know.
Where did the name Funkit Wellness come from?
Oh, this is a fun one. So when I was first starting this, I think I had just turned 25. I had this idea. I was talking to everyone about it. And most of the people I knew who were had owned businesses or were investors at the time were men. Luckily, my network has widened and I know so many amazing female entrepreneurs now. And everyone just kept telling me oh, I think this is too niche. I think that no one will really care. I don't think that people really care about periods or hormone health. Why would you start a business that's education focused? That's a waste of time. That's expensive. And I was just funk it. I don't care. That's not exactly what I said, but I was I don't care what you say. I think that people deserve better. I think people with periods especially deserve better. And I'm going to try this. And I'm really glad I didn't listen to them. But that's where the name came from. And as the attitude we take into the space is funk it. Let's learn. Let's have fun together.
I love it. And I hope that young women younger than 25 also learn about Funkit Wellness and about their cycle and how powerful it can be to learn.
I wish I would have known that in high school. It would have been incredible.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add for us today?
Just really try to embrace the menstrual cycle as hard as it can be sometimes. It's very powerful, but don't get overwhelmed. Just choose one thing at a time for improving hormone health and have a really great day. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, Kate, so much. Such a pleasure having you on. And I look forward to hearing about your next products and all the wonderful things that you're doing for us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for listening and making the Egg Whisperer Show a part of your weekly routine. To find show notes and a full transcript for this episode, visit dramy.org and look under the blog tab. While you're there, you can find a link for the Egg Whisperer newsletter, which keeps you in the know about fertility news. You can also find Dr. Amy and the Egg Whisperer Show on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. If you'd like to learn even more, Dr. Amy offers classes at the Egg Whisperer School, eggwhispererschool.com, or you can request a consultation on dramy.org. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing the Egg Whisperer Show with others. Keep sparkling and have a great day.